It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the FinSide. It ain't the left side.
Thank you, Solo D. Welcome to another episode of On the FinSide here with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. Also, check out our merch store on thefinside.threadless.com. The Dolphins have made their sixth-round selection, Ohio State right tackle Isaiah Prince. This was pick number 202, acquired in a trade from the New Orleans Saints in that Josh Rosen deal. Physically, Paul, Prince looks like he has everything that you would want out of a player. 6'6.5", 315 pounds, 35-inch wingspan, ran under a 5'1" 40, 23 bench press reps, has a lot of experience at that right tackle position. You know, this past year, he did not play up to that same level as he did the year before. Had he come out the year before, we might have been looking at a second, third, fourth-round pick. Instead, he falls late into the sixth round where the Dolphins scoop him up, and he has a chance to earn a roster spot here with the Dolphins.
I think he's got a chance to earn more than a roster spot. I think he's got a very good chance to earn the starting gig. He's a guy that when I watch his tape, he gets a very good first initial pop. And a lot of times when you watch, you'll see the opponent go down. And the issue he ran into for me was when he got that pop and staggered the defender, he'd kind of disengage and look to move to next a little too soon. And that's where you'd see if the defender was able to recover, he was already downfield blocking the next guy, and that's where it would be a problem. I mean, he's not a guy that looks like he gets pushed back very much. If you watch his game against Michigan, I thought he did a very good job against Chase Winovich in that game, a guy that we both liked who went to the Patriots in, I believe, the second round of the draft, if not the third. And really, he talks a lot about the fact that going up against Nick Bosa in practice only helped him as he went along. I mean, he was a first team All Big Ten player. His senior year, he was I believe third team. His junior year, so this is a big, strong dude that if they can teach him to stay with his block just for a second longer and make sure those guys go down, you're going to see a night and day player that can really possibly fill Juwan James's shoes as he develops. And I'm not saying initially out of the gate, but he is going to help keep Josh Rosen clean. I keep wanting to call him Drew Rosen just because of Drew Rosenhaus, but Josh Rosen, he's really going to help keep him clean.
Yeah, when I look at Prince, the two words that come to mind of what he needs, and it's repetitive throughout anybody that you ask, it's focus and consistency. I mean, but physically he has everything you need to play that right tackle spot, and he's got a lot of experience too. As a late sixth rounder, I'll take a player like that who, if he does his best and a coach reaches him, you've got a hell of a right tackle. Ian Wharton, who's been on the show several times, you can follow him at NFL Film Study. I asked him on Twitter about Isaiah Prince because Ian is an Ohio State fan, and he said he's a late bloomer with good physicality and run blocking, but he has critical mistakes often in big moments, and he gets in his own head leading to poor stretches. So definitely a guy with something to work on here. But, I think it's a lot different than, for example, last year when Jamarco Jones was drafted by the Seahawks, I believe, in the fifth round. And even if he comes in and he focuses and he concentrates, you don't have a physically talented player still. But I think Isaiah Prince is that guy. And speaking of the nastiness, Paul, Pro Football Focus, even though Isaiah Prince did not have the best season, did not play as well in 2018 as he did in 2017, he was graded as the fifth best run blocker in all of college football by Pro Football Focus. So definitely a lot to work with there.
There is. And one thing that I thought was a very strong area of his game that kind of hid what I was talking about before was on plays where you saw the guard pull, or if his assignment was to come down and double team. When the defender didn't see him coming, that's where you really saw that good initial pop come into play because he put a lot of people on their asses. I forget who it was against. There was one series where you saw him have two pancakes on the same play. He pancaked the defensive end and went to the second level. And he was playing for Ohio State, so this wasn't against D3 competition, he was putting some name players on their ass. So if they can find a way to harness it, which Miami does have a pretty damn good coaching staff, this is a guy that could end up being a huge steal as we move along here. So I'm excited. I mean, and that's not the homeristic view. That's just being honest. I mean, he does need to learn to stay with the block a little bit longer before going to next, but he will block till the whistle. So.
Yeah, Patrick Flaherty, the Dolphins' new offensive line coach, has developed a lot of good players. He definitely has a project on his hands in Isaiah Prince. And, you talked about him knocking players on their ass. In fairness, Prince has gotten knocked on his ass too a lot in pass protection, especially this past year. But when their focus and technique and concentration errors, I tend to look at those things and think that they can be fixed a lot more easily than if the guy is 6'4", 300 pounds, runs a 5'3", isn't very strong. And even if he does his best, he's not going to be all that great of a player. So I'm definitely excited about this. This is a player I could easily see getting cut or winning that starting spot. He does have that upside and that downside, but he's a player I'm really going to be rooting for in the preseason because, Paul, if he can play up to his potential and show that early, now you can kick Jesse Davis back to right guard. You've got a serviceable Kilgore at center. Hopefully Michael Dieter can step in at left guard immediately. And, of course, you have Laramie Tunzel playing at a Pro Bowl level on the left-hand side. So could be a domino effect if he plays up to his potential early.
Yeah, and let's face it. I mean, in a good year, I think there's the possibility he gets cut, but if he doesn't play up the potential, but just his potential alone, and given the depth issues that we have along the offensive line in Miami right now, as it stands right now, looking at the roster, he would have to play so abysmally to get cut because Miami is one injury away from starting to have to think about pulling people off the street and out of Walmart checkout lines. So there's definitely some depth concerns, and that could work in his favor, especially given the upside.
Well said. And that will do it for our breakdown of sixth-round rookie offensive tackle Isaiah Prince from Ohio State. You can follow Paul and I on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and on Spotify. We have a lot of draft content up there, especially these individual breakdowns of what we've seen out of the players. It's been nice being able to roll up our sleeves toward the end of the year after the draft has taken place and get to business on these players. Also, make sure to check out our overall draft grade and breakdown of the undrafted free agents. We should have that up here in a few days to a week. And that will do it for our breakdown of Isaiah Prince. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the FinSide. Solo D, take us home.
It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the FinSide. It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the FinSide. Listen, Dolphins fans across the land all tuning in to see what Brian Cat and Paul